You are listening to Subject to Change. Real people experiencing real life, unscripted.
All right. Well, welcome to another episode of Subject to Change.
Hello. Episode 6.
Yes.
6. We are super excited today as we have gotten a new piece of technology.
We got professionals.
We are professional now, everybody.
Well, arguably.
We would like to thank our loyal listeners for battling through all of this with us and as we figure out how to do this appropriately.
Yes.
Yes, and this episode and the new soundboard sponsored by a Browns win on Thursday.
Love it.
A Browns win. And technically a Bengals win because it's their bye week.
Yeah.
You could cut
But
the
they probably
tension with
still
a knife.
lost.
All right, so it is, I know we're dating ourselves, but this is Thanksgiving week.
Mm-hmm.
And let's talk a little bit about Thanksgiving. Right?
Thanksgiving.
So I like to think of it as a harvest festival. I know there's some politically incorrect things or what we're not supposed to say about Thanksgiving. I don't know. But a harvest festival has been going on forever. The Europeans did it. The Native Americans did it. And we all kind of did it together when we came to America. We don't have to get into that whole mess.
There's a whole story
But some
there.
fun facts. In 1789, President George Washington proclaimed the first national Thanksgiving, giving thanks to the Constitution and the country's newfound independence.
I did not know that.
Is that where the turkey came about?
I don't know.
No.
But then it wasn't even a national holiday till 1863, and President Lincoln established the national holiday to be celebrated on the last Thursday of November. And he did this because that was right smack dab in the middle of the Civil War. And obviously there was much distancing and division in this country in the Civil War. And it was an intent to foster unity and gratitude. So let's think of this Thanksgiving as a way to be grateful for our country. And let's think about unity and put politics aside. Let's not be talking politics at Thanksgiving dinner.
Yes. The TikTok videos are scrolling with those right now.
About
is that what you're...
saying-
Like being political. During
say, "Let's not
family
be."
Thanksgiving. No, like you show up a liberal or you show up a conservative. It's just
seriously?
all over the place.
Oh,
yeah.
my God, we
And
have
it's
to
got
stop
this
people.
like infamous meme. I don't know if you've seen it, Mallory, because Dad doesn't have TikTok, but it's the guy. It's from years
Wait, I
ago
have
where
TikTok.
he's arguing about her sister was a witch. And that one. That's the meme being used for all of these political Thanksgiving. Yeah. So let's not talk politics around Thanksgiving and talk about what we're grateful for.
Yeah, in fact, Thanksgiving craft for everyone. Make a sign to put out at wherever you're going for Thanksgiving. I know you're hosting, Sarah.
Yes, I am.
That says no politics talk at all.
Well,
that's
I
a
love that
great idea.
I love that idea. I think it's funny, too.
It's a great idea because I don't want to talk about it. Can we just enjoy family?
We're actually going to do, so I'm going to my girlfriend's friend's home, and they always talk about politics in every single party. So we decided we're going to be the people to bring a game. So I ordered the game Cranium, which we used to play with the kids when they were younger.
Oh, that's a fun game.
Cranium's awesome. I love Cranium.
It is. You've never played it?
I've never played it.
No.
It's like trivia, charades, music, all wrapped into one. And they have a little thing of clay that you can, like, you sculpture something and someone tries to guess what it is. And
That's the best. I love that part. Yeah. It's really funny.
you name that tune, you sing. It's it's a lot of fun. It should be fun. I can report on that later.
Yeah.
But so Thanksgiving. Any fond Thanksgiving or crazy Thanksgiving memories, Sarah?
It's a lot of years of Thanksgivings to look back on. I mean, I will say, okay, here's one that I always loved because it's changed so much in the last 10 years is Black Friday. And we'd always have Thanksgiving dinner. And then I've always hosted every year. For the most part, actually, my aunt and I kind of took turns with that. But then we would take a nap and then we get all the ads during dinner and map out what we were doing.
Really?
And we'd take a nap and then go shopping. Yeah. When Toys R Us was still around, that was my main place because Sam was so young. So we would.
They were open on Thanksgiving night.
It was more like midnight to 2 a.m. Like back
Okay.
when it was like between 12 and 4.
Yeah.
And you could like you waited hours in line back when Best Buy was popular because it's not anymore. Well, and Heath anyway. But you line up for hours and it opened at like 3, 4 in the morning. And that was always but now it's like you have the online sales and it's different. Now it's a whole other thing.
Yeah,
but
you don't have to get
that's
up
one of
early.
my favorite memories because like you'd settle and like take a nappy nap and then you go through the ads and plan everything. And yeah.
That is fun.
See,
Mallory,
that
did
would be
you do
my
that?
nightmare. I hate shopping. Oh my God. No. Mine's rather simple. We always went to my grandparents' house. And then the next day you get up, you watch the parade. You have some strawberry pretzel salad, which was a famous dessert that my grandma made. Yeah, just back to the basics.
So nothing crazy like that. I do remember shopping with your Aunt Amy. She and I would get up. But back in that day, though, everything started at like 5 in the morning. Nothing was that night. Like it
Yeah.
was the
That was the
next
normal
day.
time. And then they started slowly pushing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun. I don't think we got as organized as you. By like where
Oh,
we're
it was
going.
bad.
I think
Well, see,
Amy
here's-
probably tried, and I'm like, nah, whatever. We'll
You
just go
know,
wherever.
like I had to be because there's specific dolls, specific toys, Toys R Us, because we had Toys R
yeah.
Us, so I had to map out. So my aunt would actually, I'd make her grab the cart and go stand in line. And then my cousin and I would go down each aisle and just get everything and just like throw it in the cart. So we're not waiting in line for 2 hours because we got to hurry up and move to the next store. So,
Now,
yeah.
the shopping that you did, was it for Christmas presents or just would you buy things just because they're really on sale that you just wanted or needed or something like
that was
that?
Christmas presents for Sam
Okay.
mainly. Yeah, I never really, yeah.
So yet another holiday turned into us just shopping and driving the economic engine.
Yeah, we watched an interesting doc about that this weekend. But yeah,
Those holidays are meant for that.
yes, they are.
My other memory, for me, it's when I was in college. There's 4 of us that drove from Columbus here to New York City to watch the parade.
Oh, fun.
And that was that's a whole story I could talk about. It was hilarious, but
That is great.
And then when we lived out in New Jersey, I took the 2 boys to the parade, and that was super fun. I would
that's
always
really
love to do it
cool.
again. It's something to see for
Yeah.
sure, and highly recommend it.
Yeah, I actually
super
just saw a clip the other day of it was a remember when Barney died at the Thanksgiving Day parade, and that's the day Barney died because the float, like
I
not the
do
float,
remember that.
yeah,
A really windy day.
yeah, it's just
Yeah.
like something popped and it just deflated.
I was a big Barney fan.
So was I.
Oh my God.
So were my kids. That's funny. Of course they were. Yeah, fun stuff. Yeah, it's just hanging out for the
Yeah.
day. I agree. Watching the parade, hanging out, getting
Yeah.
ready for if you're making stuff or everyone's coming over or you're going somewhere. It's all about getting together.
It is.
It really is.
Unity and gratitude.
Yes. Make sure and express that this weekend.
Yes.
Do your best to, yeah.
And I do remember one where on Susan's side of the family, there's some very competitive people, and we were playing a game instead of talking politics, but it got really ugly
Oh no.
and resulted in a certain grandchild not ever talking to the grandmother for
great.
years.
Wow.
Great. Oh,
See, always fun on family stuff.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Family
That's a
joys.
core memory there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm debating.
And
talking about when
I'll
we
save
went
a
as
crazy
college
Christmas
kids.
story for when we talk about Christmas. So
I'm invested
yeah,
now.
yeah. I got a really good one. My brother and I were just talking about it the other day, but I'll save it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have
Gotta
nothing to
get
contribute here.
anticipation for that one. Yeah.
All right. So this episode, I think we want to expand a little bit on what happens after you leave your job. I know we released the episode about you guys leaving your job, and we talked about interviewing and things like that, which I thought was pretty helpful. But yeah, specifically, let's start with a little bit of well, first off, have you started your new jobs?
No.
Yes and no. There, because for me it's like a weird situation because like I have some delays because of just logistics. So, but I'm also doing like 3 other things too that are more for myself. So I've had a lot going on. So technically I've started, but like the other places that I'm going to be teaching, it's just delayed because of logistics. So I'm still kind of battling that. Yeah. I'll go deeper after Mallory answers the question.
I'm scared too. I have not started my new job, and I'm super anxious about it because it's always, you want people to like you. You want people to accept you. Meeting new people, fitting into a new place. Is this going to work for me long term? Which I have never found a place, and I think I'm the common denominator, where I feel like on both ends of the spectrum where I am content and then it's a good fit for them as well as it is for me. Mm-hmm. So I feel like all this pressure is built up, and my expectations higher than it probably should be.
Oh, so that's where you are now. When do you start?
December 2nd.
And Sarah,
Oh my gosh, that's next week, huh?
Can we not?
That is
I'm
Tuesday.
so sorry. I'm stuck in November. This is the last week of November.
Yeah.
I'm hoping
yeah.
November never ends.
That's the same day as
So
Phoebe's
you're really
birthday.
anxious about your new job, Mallory. Only because of people liking you?
I'm a bit of a people pleaser, a chronic one.
Agreed.
Yeah. And I want to be successful. And I feel like the last 2 terms of employment for me have fallen short of what I would consider successful. And I'm the common denominator, so some self-reflection I think is needed.
Yeah, one of the things that I wanted to talk about when we're talking about how to recover when you lose your job, and I kind of mentioned this last time, like don't rush into a new job, but you kind of, I wouldn't say you rush, but
Right.
the last episode we talked about the interview process, you had already taken another job. So
Yeah.
did that make you reflect on taking this position? Like thinking about, well, am I doing this as part of my career? What is my career? We talked about the vision board, which I think would be a master plan, but yeah, have you thought any more about that?
So there's a couple of factors at play here. One being that I'm single and I own my own house. I have bills to take care of and responsibilities. Though I have some savings, there's still like this clock ticking in my mind, like savings is not going to last forever and I want to have something to fall back on. So there's a need to kind of rush into something else, which probably it would have been smarter to stay at my previous job a little bit longer to figure out exactly what I needed to move forward with. But I think not having anybody else to lean on really kind of is hard, being single and owning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you will. That brings up a good point. I never did it, but having some sort of savings that you can quit a job. They say you should have 2 months worth of salary or something.
Not in this
savings.
economy.
Yeah.
So sometimes
I
you have
mean-
to make sacrifices.
Yeah. And you,
Maybe all
and
those toys at Christmas aren't really necessary.
she's 17. She doesn't need toys anymore. This year it's a trip to New York. But you bring up a good point, the single word. Like, again, this brings us back to why we first started this podcast. We're both single now going through this huge life change. My next step looks a lot different than yours per se. But for me, like I always had that teaching was, I could always fall back on. Like that's always been there. But for me, I think, oh my gosh, like the stress of the job, I think physically just started wearing down on me so much so that when I did leave, like my motivation's lacking. I feel lazy. I feel almost like, I don't know, like a situational type depression in a way.
Yeah.
Because I'm in this spot that I've put myself in, which is fine. It's a lot of sacrifices to make, and it's a stressful situation. I know why I'm doing it. It's good. Everything I have going on is great and good, but I'm still suffering from this like I just don't, I don't know. I can't explain it, like mentally tired to the point where I don't want to do things like for myself in that way. Now I'll get up and go clean my house because I have to. But like when it comes to everything else, like I'm just like today, I mean, I canceled a job today so that I could spend 9 hours editing pictures that are still not done because my computer's slow and everything else. And it's just like, it was just like, I was just sitting today just feeling very overwhelmed. I don't have a set schedule. I don't have structure. I do when I don't. I don't have structure right now. I just feel all over the place.
So do you think adding structure will help?
Yeah, I need to. And every time I try, it's like what we learned Thursday. with Alex Sheen.
Great.
Accountability. And gave us those cards. I promise I will. So like if I were to hand you a card that says, I promise I will create structure and a structured schedule and stick to it, I'm going to hand it to you. It's your property until I fulfill that promise. That's like his whole philosophy behind his movement. I feel like if I did, it would help because being technically kind of self-employed, also, I need that structure because I have a lot going on and a lot in the background on top of, all the senior year activities and everything going on. So I've just felt very overwhelmed lately. On top of and I haven't gotten into it because it's it's not over with yet. But like one of the main reason why I've had to start over and do all of this, has also like, I feel like maybe keeping myself very busy is masking certain feelings that I'm not dealing with. Very self-aware about that. But I'm just kind of in a weird spot. It's hard to explain.
Well, from the outside looking in at you, and I know you don't like hearing this, but I feel like you're doing a phenomenal job. And sometimes we need to be told that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and Brian, look at
That's
you.
rebuilding your self-confidence, one of the steps to recover from
Maybe
when you
that's what
lose
it
your
is.
job.
It is that.
Yeah. I don't have confidence.
Everything stems from confidence.
Mm-hmm.
But you're
lack-
getting
or
some
lack thereof.
gigs
Yeah.
on the sub-teacher side.
Yeah.
So that's good. I was thinking something while you were talking about you spending 9 hours to edit photos from a shoot. Have you ever done the math of how much per hour you're actually making? And I bet it's probably not very much. And maybe you should consider
I have heard this
either
several
increasing your
times, yeah.
price
And
or
this is not a typical, like, my regular sessions don't take this long, but this was a wedding. So there's a lot of pictures to go through. Yes, after today, I'm realizing that I need to actually do the correct math because I'm undercharging a lot.
yeah, if you're spending 9 hours editing
Oh, that's just today.
in one day,
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here thinking that's probably multiplied by 5 or 6 days, and
Yeah.
the shoot itself. People make the mistake of selling themselves short.
I do.
And this could be from whether you're a consultant or a photographer, like a third. What do I want to say? Not third party, but you're self-employed.
Subcontractor,
Yeah,
freelancer.
self-employed.
Yeah.
Or if you're going for a regular job, like you tend to not justify yourself well. And I think that's really important to do. Make sure that you feel confident enough to say, hey, I'm good at this. I'm worth X, Y, Z, and then do that. Or I guess in a regular job, you could, well, one of the things is once you get into the new job, you'd have to understand, Mallory, like, what does this entail?
Right.
If I'm doing everything more, maybe documenting that so that you can get an increase in pay, and which also never avoid asking for an increase in pay. Like, it can always happen when you ask. But anyways, digressing a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you should think about that and make sure that you're getting what you're worth, and that'll help with your self-confidence as well.
I need to, especially if we've discussed what we want to try and do next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm stoked about that.
Thinking about partnering up
Yeah.
with her capabilities.
Well, I don't
good.
know that lack thereof, but we both
Yeah.
are really into photography, and I have drone. And
Yeah.
Yeah, which goes back to that. So I would think quitting your job, you're feeling a little less motivated. I think you have to go through this process, and I think that process will help you. I really do encourage you to your guys' vision board, which we may have to have a whole episode on that, which will be super fun. But change that into more of a master plan. And we talked about being a leader in your own life and what makes a good leader,
that was
and
last
do that
episode.
leadership in your own life. And part of that is to say, well, what do I want? What's my mission? And businesses start with that. What's our mission? And then there's some other things that you can do. Which your mission should be something that's actually never achievable, but it guides everything below that of what you want to do. So you should think about that. And that, I think that I would take the time in between jobs to be thinking about that. Okay, maybe I do take this job because I need to pay my rent or my house payment or whatever. But it's at one step towards my master plan. So I think that'd be my advice for that.
Yeah. That's good.
Mallory, there's some specific event that you wanted to talk about?
guys,
in
I'm
your
getting
old
cold
job?
feet. I'm getting cold feet.
We are raw.
Me previously when I was at
So So Mallory, there's something that you want to talk about from your old job that's a specific event
Yes.
that you don't have to name where you were.
Guys, I'm not ready.
Well, I think just let it out. I mean, you know?
It was really traumatizing for me.
Okay.
It was, given the situation, the circumstance,
Let's go back to the theme of transitioning into a new job. So we'll just suffice it to say that you've had a couple incidents in their previous 2 jobs. So what have you learned and what can you apply in your new job from these things so that it doesn't happen again? Because I'm sitting here thinking, well, geez, you've had these traumatic events happen at both jobs. What's the definition of the traumatic event? Or is it something that we're going to learn from and not do, try to avoid in a new job, in any future job?
Well, I knew it was wrong, but I was desperate for validation from an employer.
Okay.
So I'll just give you the rundown of what happened. And then we can cut it out if it's too much or if it's not enough.
I don't think it's too much.
Okay, so I was approached by my boss about a vehicle that we needed to basically have included in our inventory. It wasn't in possession of the fuse. Shouldn't have said that. And it belonged to a man who was currently in the hospital who was dying. And I was instructed to go to the hospital, become the power of attorney of this man. Just by his word, he couldn't speak any words. He was dying. And to get him to sign a piece of paper giving us the vehicle. When I arrived at the hospital, I didn't realize that he wasn't conscious. And I was basically told to have him sign a power of attorney paper just by my boss's word to get the vehicle signed over to our company. Then it needed to be notarized. The notary wasn't willing to come down to the hospital, so I had to break a lot of laws just to keep my job, I guess is the overall.
Right.
And just reflecting on some of the things I did and knowing that they weren't okay, and the fact that I was willing to do whatever it took to keep my job is really sickening to me.
Yeah.
Then it became a joke because he died within 3 hours of that whole exchange. And then, I'm sorry, my coworkers made a joke from that point forward. I was going to take vehicle 59 because it belonged to the guy that died.
Right.
That I became the power of attorney of. And it was just, for them, it was funny, but for me, it wasn't. I mean, his breathing was extremely labored. I didn't even know him. I felt like everything I was doing was wrong.
Right.
When I called my boss and told her it made me uncomfortable, she didn't comfort me. She made me feel like it was something I had to do to keep my job.
Wow. Yeah, that's not great.
Yeah.
So
I know.
Yeah, I know I've never been in any position like that. However, kind of going to the theme of, so the next job, what do you think you can do different? How do you get to a point where obviously this is happening, and I'm sure you're not the only one that this has happened to. I'm sure there's plenty of places where bosses, and I guess we see documentaries on, a boss is making someone do something either illegal or dangerous or whatever to get the job done, which I just think is absolutely insane. But how do you prevent that from happening again?
I don't know. I think I need to be better at setting boundaries. She knew she could take advantage of me, and she did.
And maybe that's it too.
The vibe of the whole time with her, even, I know you started before me, but immediately I picked up on is do anything and everything at any way possible. But she also knows your weaknesses and preys on those weaknesses.
That's exactly what she
For
does.
me, she knew.
Bullies do.
Yeah, she
That's what she
knew.
does.
Oh, she's going through a divorce. She needs me. She needs this money. She needs this job. Until I stood up to her and said, "No, I don't." But yeah, it still shocks me actually.
Well, the only look, people are going to be people. So your job is, your boss that you had has a personality. They have that in them. I've realized there's some things you can't change in people. And I think that we all have to understand that they're a person, that's not going to happen. And sometimes we have to sacrifice, then I'm going to get fired. if I don't do this thing that I just don't feel right about. And if you're really justified, and I think in this case you're extremely justified of saying, I'm not doing this.
Right.
I don't know how you convey that to everyone in the world, that anyone who might be listening that says, yeah, something like that's happened to me too. You just have to. I wish I had some good advice for that, because I always think that people just act like I do, and I would never do that to an employee that I know of, anyways. But I don't know.
I would say that I first commend you for talking about it.
Yeah.
Because you have to. Because if you don't, it festers and it boils over and it ends up affecting you in the long run mentally. Right. And talking about it also influences other people to stand up for themselves if they're in a similar situation. And I think that's important that we do. And we shouldn't be ashamed to do that because a boss makes us feel a certain way. Yeah. So on the mental side of it, there's no shame in talking about it.
Yeah.
You know, like I said before, like when I talked about my experience, I was like, should we just delete that out of there? Like, I just feel like I'm putting people down. I'm like, no.
Right.
She doesn't have that power over me. No. Like for anyone who puts us in a situation like that, that makes us feel a traumatic situation, they should never have the power over us to shut up.
Right.
So that's what I take on it.
I agree. And if you had an HR department, I guess that's what they're supposed to be there for. But even that can be contaminated by the leader as well. So yeah, it's just sometimes, and it's definitely not the right job. You guys did the right thing by leaving that job. And hopefully those experiences, and you can look at it that way, that this is just an experience for me under my belt, that now I know I won't do this again. And if I'm in this position, I'm happily leaving.
Yeah.
So you plan for that, and you have that master plan or whatever it is, so that you kind of guide yourself in the right direction, so that if something like this happens, you can say goodbye. I can also say, look, everybody does things because they think it's the right thing at the time, or they had to follow orders or whatever that is. I mean, there's plenty of that goes on. How to get past that, I think, are some of the things that we're talking about coping with losing your job, and that is lean on your network for support. Make sure that you're talking, that this podcast hopefully is helpful, and
very much
talking to other people, rebuilding your self-confidence. I mean, by doing other things that you feel really good about, like this podcast, maybe doing some photography with Sarah, something like that. I mean, all you can do is move forward from it. It's always going to be there. You can't take it back, right?
I can't.
So you just got to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing about grieving I want to talk about is working out and taking time for yourself. Like exercising really is a big
so
thing.
bad at it right now.
Something I used to love so much, and
Yeah.
I've fallen out of, and I'm making a promise to myself. Alex Sheen.
Yes.
I'm gonna
We
hold
need to
myself
do the
accountable.
promise cards
Yes,
with each
and
other.
this is going to be our accountability group right here.
I think we should do them and then give them to Dad next
Yeah,
time
Brian would be great.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm not doing any promise cards.
No, we're going to give them to
Yeah.
you. They're your property until we fulfill the promise, and then you
I
can
see.
give it back to us.
I see.
Yeah, the movement's called Because I Said I Would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really cool.
It is
It's
so
really
cool.
cool. But I mean, that's my thing too, because I'm like an avid workout, but like I just don't.
Yeah.
I tell myself, I'm going to get up early and go.
I know.
I don't. Sammy goes more than I do. She goes right after work. She doesn't get home till like midnight.
Yeah. I'm more like a night owl doing, but
I
need
should
to
go
get
to the
back into it.
gym.
It's easy to say no, but
Yeah.
you just have to get in the habit of doing
I know.
it. And
Because they say it
I think
takes
it goes
like
back to that organization of schedule, like
structure.
time management and structure.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I lecture you about structure, but I don't have structure either, so I have no room to talk.
We're always really good about telling people
I know.
what they should do.
Self-awareness. Self-awareness.
Important for so many reasons.
Yeah. So I would say we're probably in our grieving stage right now.
Yeah. I am.
Yeah.
It's been harder for me to let go of some of the things I endured while, and that was the thing. Like my our employer knew that I had gotten let go from my previous employment, and that was a trigger for me. So she knew I would do anything to not be let go again, and I would say borderline abused that.
And this is a government paid program
It's a nonprofit organization. Yeah.
but paid by the government.
Paid by Medicaid.
Yeah. which I don't know if we
I
put that in
hate
there.
this
But
stuff.
I know, I know, I know. That's
Yeah,
why
well,
we'll
someday we'll
never-
talk about maybe getting this into journalists' hands because I think these are the kind of things that need to be brought to light
like
in this country.
ABC6 on your side.
Because if you think about your small town in this small, relatively small company, magnified by thousands of times around the country, I'm sure it is happening.
Oh yeah,
So-
this is not the only one
Yeah, and that's just crazy.
for
So
sure.
yeah.
definitely use it as a learning tool to, be able to quit. Just like I said in the last episode, how we're taught as leaders to fire fast and fire often. Quit fast and quit often
Yep.
if it
Yeah.
doesn't work. But that's why you have to really think about the next job that you take. And if you take one just for, got to make the bills, all that kind of stuff, be looking and think about what your next move is.
Right.
And be honest with that employer. I mean, as an employer, it's not fun to lose staff, but also it could help you too, because maybe you're looking for something else, but maybe that being somewhat separate in that current position might actually help your current position because you're looking at it a little bit more objectively because you're looking for something else and it might work out. So, or you feel good about leaving because like, that's just not meeting these needs that I have according to my vision board or whatever that is.
Some good advice, Dad.
Really good advice.
Yeah, yeah.
Voice of reason.
The voice of reason.
And now you got all this time. You can be partying and no, I'm kidding. Lean on your network for support, rebuild
Yeah.
your self-confidence, do those things that'll help. I think that exercise rebuilds your self-confidence. Doing the things that you're doing with your daughter, senior year, rebuild self-confidence, aren't you remodeling your bathroom or something?
Yeah. It's been a
Did you fix that
nightmare.
door?
It is on the hinges.
She put it on backwards.
Well, it still is backwards.
So you put a whole new door in?
I painted it. And then I took it
Oh,
off,
you
and
took it off
then
and made it.
I put it on backwards. And then I had company over.
How do you put it on backwards?
Well, I found a way. Brian, don't even worry about it.
Don't worry, Mallory will
Yeah.
always find a way.
Listen here. And then I had company over, and they were like, I have to use the bathroom. I'm like, well, it doesn't shut. But it is on the hinges. So
Just make an announcement before you go.
I was still trying to rack my brain how you could put a door on
I
backwards.
think you flipped it.
I definitely
Upside
did. I
down.
did.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Upside down, turning sideways.
So it didn't move the way it's supposed to move in the door jamb. So yeah, it wasn't. Yeah.
Still shut, technically.
I mean, there was, everything was fine.
yeah,
Everything is fine.
Everything is fine. And next,
I'll try the applause sound effect again. but I don't
if
know
it
if
works,
it's gonna work.
yeah. Our new technology. Next
Yeah,
episode,
we're
we're
legit
taking a
now.
little bit of a break recording. Dad's going on an exciting sailing trip. I'm going to New York City. So next episode will be our Christmas episode where we hope to have our first set of guests.
Yay.
And who are some close friends of mine.
Oh, I think applause is going to work out. There
Yay! All right, until next time.
Yes, and I will be here. I'm sorry. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Subject to Change. I am Mallory.
I am Sarah.
we go. And I'm the monkey in the middle.
and
Everything is fine.
This is Subject to Change, and everything is fine. Subject to change. Everything is fine.